This is one of your best titles ever, I have to say. You've outdone yourself here. The first rule of Lesbian Club is no lesbians. Come on, guys.
Well,
this is why Callum's paid the big bucks.
It's a pretty simple rule, I think, although it should be able to be followed, which is this is Lesbian Club, so get out lesbos.
Yeah.
Not part of the club anymore.
Sling your hook.
If you're wondering what the hell I'm talking about, can you guess? Yeah, it's transgenderism yet again. I just every goddamn time there's a new way they never cease to amaze in the logic just keeps running. But we'll mention first, in case you're wondering, just to shill, the Universal Acid of Liberalism article from Will Noland. You may remember Will Noland. He was the I believe he was Eton professor or teacher.
Teacher.
Don't know if they use professor for Eton. Either way, I'm going to call him professor because he deserves it. So he was the chap who got kicked out for saying that men and women are different. Yeah, I know, big, controversial. Can't have the leaders of the rest of the UK finding out that men and women are different. So he's written an article here, though, talking about the universal acid of liberalism, and the fact being that, well, if you want everyone to be free, that includes free from reality, which means I can be free from my biological sex, which naturally leads us into No Lesbian Club. So, if we go to the next link here, we can see the start of No Lesbian Club, as I mentioned previously. Don't know if you've seen this, Nick.
I have, yeah.
There's a Labour Party conference. The lesbian Labour are not allowed into Labour conference because no lesbians. Not allowed. You don't want cock? Well, you're not coming in then. I'm sorry. It's not how we allow our lesbians. Our lesbians like cock, thank you very much. And they're not the only ones, it turns out. Because if we go to the next link here, this is a Green Party MP from Austria. Probably the most leftist of leftists you could probably find. Yeah. Green Party. Red on the inside, and even she has been kicked out of the lesbian club for being the wrong kind of lesbian.
Wow.
So she says here, lesbians are no longer welcome at lesbian conference. Euro Lesbian Con, which I didn't know that was a thing, but it's in Budapest apparently, which again, funny. Unregistered me less than 24 hours before the start of the lesbian conference in Budapest because of my recent public statements that would go against lesbian club's core values. I'm not going to use her title because I think lesbian club just sounds better. So she says, as a lesbian politician and a woman of colour, and with a migrant and Muslim background.
Wow, she got everything, the whole bingo card.
This is something to keep in mind. She's a Green Party MP. So, I mean, this is the language she's going to use.
Yeah.
Which again
We've
makes
got to translate it into normal.
Yeah, she's a woman. So there we are. Who's a lesbian. I spoke at the opening of the first Lesbian Club conference in Vienna in 2017, invoking
That was the best one.
Were you there?
That was the early work. They've sold out recently, guys.
Oh, literally. Unironically. So she says she did her early work, as you say, in Lesbian Club back in 2017. I was called together with many lesbians to discuss other questions. You must have liked what you heard and saw, because I was invited to join Lesbian Club's board meeting in January 2018. I organised vegan catering. We got booze, mixed cocktails, discussed the next conference.
And we also discussed how we're stereotypes.
Yeah. I don't know how you could be more of a left-wing stereotype. So I'm a Green Party MP.
I organised...
migrant, woman of colour.
Yeah. I organised a compulsory vegan catering.
Yeah, of course you did. Of course you did. For Lesbian Club. Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
They hate meat, guys. That's kind of the point with lesbians, isn't it? No meat. Sorry, I'm so sorry. It's too early for that. Sorry, everyone. I'm trying to earn my keep here as
no, that's fair.
My comedy background.
Good dad joke. So I joined the board, managed the finances, rewrote the statutes to keep the charity status of the organisation, helped selecting workshops for the second conference in Kiev, Ukraine, and of course she misspells Kiev. She redoes the more modern one because she's still left-wing in the extreme. I sat on panels discussing our intersectional and inclusive lesbian movement. This is where it went wrong. That's where you tripped up, which is you didn't define lesbians as women. You instead defined your movement as intersectional. Yeah, it's going to go bad. She says, and the solidarity we needed to fight anti-gender backlash. One panel took place while nationalists threw tear gas through the lobby of the hotel. Oh, really? In Ukraine? They don't like lesbians? That's news to me. Huh, funny. The last day, during our debrief meeting, there was a bomb threat in the hotel, and we had to be evacuated. We spent the evening in the nearby pizzeria. It's like, yeah. Ukrainian views on gender. A couple of months later, I organised Lesbian Club's presence in Europride in Vienna. We had our event in Vienna City Hall and called it 1 Million Lesbians. And then it happened. We worked together, we laughed together, we fought together, and we marched together. And at the Dyke March in Vienna, her words, not mine, YouTube, don't shoot, in Albania, which, again, fairly brave, walking the walk, side by side and in solidarity with the broader LGBTQI community, which, yeah, here's your problem. Because immediately after all of this work and all of this foot soldiering, she was banned because she thinks that men can't become women, and it's a bad idea to try that. Who could have seen this coming? If we go to the next link here, we can see Lesbian Club. Lesbian Club decided to say, Lesbian Club is a inclusive space. Dear Fariaka, I'm going to butcher our name. As you know, Lesbian Club strongly supports trans and gender diverse inclusion and visibility. For that reason, we cannot accept your registration at this conference, even though you have been organising the previous 3, all over in places which are not, the funnest places to be a lesbian, I would imagine. However, you are now outside the club. No matter how much work you've done, no matter how much gay acceptance you have brought to the world, no matter how much you've even tried, too bad. First rule of the Lesbian Club is no lesbians. We only accept lesbians who accept penis.
They'll always eat themselves, won't they? We've said it before. They'll always eat themselves. And this is the problem. This is the idea.
Well, no.
Huh? Oh, yeah, well. Because libs will always... They won't... The thing is, this just red pills them in the end, doesn't it? You've got Louise Perry. She's was a feminist. Now she's sort of rebelling against that. Now she's called a reactionary feminist. We did that piece on Bridget Fettersy. They still sort of cling to it. You notice they sort of cling to it, whereas they should just recognise it's all wrong. Yeah. This is why I end up with gender critical. They all sort of like, oh, I like feminism, but it's like, no, guys, just walk away. You need to be like Robert De Niro in Heat, just walk away in 30 seconds when you realise your ideas were wrong. You know what I mean? But so she'll still cling. Mind you, it's tricky if you're a lesbian. What do? You can't walk away from being... You're sort of bound to be politicised somewhat, aren't you?
Well, the argument is made from the left-wingers that what she should do is walk away from being an actual lesbian and instead become bisexual, but still claim she's a lesbian.
Right.
Because, sexuality is a choice, according to these people now, which is a big 180. But whatever.
I suppose, being a lesbian is sort of just a reactionary stance at this point, isn't it?
Effectively, yeah. I mean, being an actual gay man or a lesbian is being a reactionary. And welcome to the club, I suppose.
Yeah.
We'll accept you in the traditionalist camp, which is a weird statement, but that's genuinely where we're at. In case you're wondering what on earth her crime actually was, I tried to find it. I only found because they said your statement's in the media. I was like, what media? So I looked it up. This is one German outlet here, German speaking. They're writing here that Greens call for less bureaucracy for trans people.
It's not really the headline, is it? I'd have gone with lesbian band.
Well, it was
Lesbian Club. I'd have gone with your one.
It was before Lesbian Club banned her.
Oh, sorry.
So she was still in Lesbian Club.
Sorry.
But the Greens her party were arguing that if you wanted to become transgender, we should get rid of all of the barriers that make sure that you're serious. And she, being a member of the party, dissented, saying she spoke of possible dangers. What kind of dangers? Such as early treatment of young people who perceive themselves as transgender, and that transgenderness is currently being propagated too strongly. Some pretty traditionalist views there.
Based.
So she was kicked out of Lesbian Club. That's it. That's all I could find. I couldn't find anything else with her name on that has anything to do with transgenderism. That was her only dissent, which is, well, hold on a minute. Maybe we should make sure that people are serious before we, do not reversible treatment. And that's it. No more Lesbian Club for her.
Wow.
Sad.
Sounds reasonable to me.
It's good to know. But also, we need to remind ourselves of the kind of people who are doing this. I mean, the kind of people whose utterances are controlling Lesbian Club and the rest of the world, because it's not just Lesbian Club, of course. It's our police force, our government, etc. So this is just a random lunatic I found, who is in response to all of this, but then again, the kind of random lunatic who controls the entire world's narratives with their ideology. No TERF can ever give an honest answer and rational answer as to why their movement has drawn Nazi support.
Yeah, technically it says as to why their movement drawn Nazi support. Because it's an incoherent sentence missing a word.
But why would the TERF movement draw Nazi support, Nick?
Well, probably because it draws the support of everyone. And just
it indeed is that if the Nazis drink water and you drink water, it's like even the Nazis can note that women exist.
Toby was saying this in our podcast the other day, Toby Young. It's like you can always go 6 degrees back to Hitler. There's a lot of chat with Meloni, like, where, it has ties back to Mussolini, but you can always tie it back to, you know what I mean? As you say, like, Hitler liked musicals, therefore you're a Nazi if you like West Side Story. Yeah. But I did see that Kelly J. Keane was called called Marine Le Pen the other day on Twitter. Did you see that?
No.
Did you not see that? Yeah. Someone said she's basically Marine Le Pen.
Well, I mean, sort of in that regard, which is that women exist. But this is the point, which is that The entire world's movement are being controlled by this kind of lunatic.
Here you go. I'm just while we're there. It's from Sarah Dittam, and it says Posey Parker is a pound shot Marine Le Pen, and if you think she cares about any woman apart from herself, prepare to be disappointed. This kicked off the other day. How is she a pound shot Marine Le Pen?
Yeah, that's the only thing in my mind. How's she pound shop? She's like, $1 million shop compared to Marine Le Pen.
Yeah. How dare she? How dare she?
Anyway, maybe not in Islam, but well, yeah, Posey's views on that one day, I suppose. Probably she's a feminist, so probably not very polite. But anyway, so we'll go to the fact that I'm not joking either, which is that the police force are in our country completely captured by that kind of lunatic Twitter user. Again, you would think you would just say no to. In fact, can we go back just to check out the bio, just for a cheeky look? I wonder if it's going to be sane. Should we have a look? Lefty autistic geek. Self-described here, not my words. 30-something, trans, I talk, alphabet rights, feminism, anti-racism, general social justice, hashtag actually autistic. She, her. Good to know. Just I had a hankering. I thought I might be right.
The autism was the only bit I liked.
Yeah, that's actually the only nice bit. But otherwise, we shall go forward to the police, who are following that completely sane individual's ideas. So this is Sussex Police here, who has scrapped warrant cards that identify male officers and female officers with different tags in November last year. The move prompted complaints that it would make it harder to find a female officer to carry out duties only a woman could do, such as stripping a female suspect, except that no, men and women are the same. We can't differentiate anymore. So why shouldn't a man strip search Posey Parker? That is genuinely
Disturbing.
Where you're getting to, obviously. Yeah. The force was also subject to ridicule, the Telegraph write, in 2017 after a sergeant warned high street stores that feminine care signs on women's sanitary products breach gender equality rules. If you say the word feminine, that's you breaking the law, governor.
Yeah.
So we're going to shut you down.
Well, this is Sussex Police. I mean, they are the cutting edge of the mental police force. You covered it the other day, didn't you? Their obscene response. I don't know if you're going to say it now, but they responded telling people off for misgendering this, rapist? Child molester?
Child rapist?
Yeah.
So there was a child rapist who was a man, but he says he's a woman. So the police were like, well, fair enough. We must honour the child rapist. So they wrote the, she's been sentenced to a female prisoner. It's like, oh, good. Oh, that'll go well. The local commissioner, in case you're wondering, has even condemned their own force, as they write here, which is just like, yeah, funnily enough, after you criminalised misgendering a child rapist, I think you've gone too far. I was like, no, they went too far at the start. This is where it was going, and it's still going, unless you actually stop it. But it's not the only place. We have the UK here, and Austria, which are both just collapsing over this. But also Spain is now also going to collapse over all of this. Which is funny, because in this regard, it's socialist on socialist violence. My favourite kind of violence.
I see what you mean. I sort of see it as this woke mind virus, as Elon Musk would call it, has sort of gone around the world, hasn't it? It's happening everywhere. Shouldn't really happen. You think, why would this happen in places like Spain? But it's just viral stupidity has just spread like COVID.
I love it because it's a point. Like in Spain, we literally have gendered language. Why would we not know there are two genders?
Yeah. But in general, you expect it. I mean, maybe, I don't know about Spain, but you kind of expect, like, traditionally America's going to have some silly ideas. Do you know what I mean? It's going to have the weirdest people. It's going to have everything. But you just when this spreads around the world, you think, really? But yeah, it's just stupidity can spread now rapidly, right?
But I got to tell you about this because, as I say, it is socialist and socialist violence, which is the best kind. So a controversial law that will grant trans rights in Spain. A trans right to what? That question is never answered, but whatever.
Right to exist.
They already exist.
Have you not seen that movie?
That's already allowed. Anyway, so it's prompted a row within the socialist left government after a deputy prime minister warns that it would destroy women's rights. Yeah. All right, actually, I'm in support of this, now that you've mentioned that. The draft law, which would allow children as young as 14 to change their legal gender with no medical diagnosis, has angered conservative leftists, if you're wondering, which is a whole other conversation, who say that it puts minors at risk. The bill removes the requirement for 2 years of hormone therapy and psychological assessments to switch gender in official records. It's amazing. Great. Yeah, I mean, the entire world is going to be destroyed by all of this nonsense. And ironically, thanks Obama. I don't know if you saw our segment about that with Matt Walsh's investigation.
No.
So Matt Walsh managed to get the audio recordings of when this was all being pitched in like 2016 or something at these hospitals. And the pitch was made on a financial basis. And the argument was...
Oh, the Vanderbilt thing. I saw that video.
Yeah, thanks to Obamacare, now, any transition surgeries, top or bottom, are completely covered. So we're going to get loads of money out of this if we just push it.
Yeah, I tweeted about that. It's like getting money for mutilating children while claiming you're the good people.
But it's all thanks to Obama, funnily enough. So the thanks Obama meme has actually come back around to haunt us.
Nice.
Because that's the thing. It's like, you've obviously got the ideological element, but the financial element is what makes this such a push, and therefore why it ends up in Spain of all places.
Yeah.
Previously, applicants needed to have diagnosis by several doctors of gender dysphoria, which would be reasonable, which is a psychological condition of feeling a mismatch between one's biological sex and gender identity. Teenagers between 14 and 16 will be able to apply for these changes with parental permission, or by going to a judge if there is disagreement between them. So they're going to end up with a Canadian situation, where the dad doesn't consent, but the insane mum does, so it happens anyway.
Yeah.
Fantastic. They're concerned that, for example, the safety of women in areas such as prisons and their rights in spheres of such as health, sport, and politics will be endangered. Yes, there's a reason I love doing these stories, because this stuff comes out of the continent every now and again. They're like, oh god, what if we do this stuff all the Anglos are doing? And then they're like, hang on a tick, this might go badly. And we're sat here in Anglosphere land, looking at you, being like, yes, it goes very badly. You end up with a lot of raped female inmates. It's sort
of like Back to the Future, where sort of they're saying this is what happens to Biff. Is this the wrong reference for your age group?
No, I get it.
Okay. Where the future going, this is what you... Yeah.
They're living in 2010 and we're in 2030.
Yeah,
They're like, oh, God. So drafted by the Equality Ministry, because of course, which is run by the radical left Podemos Party, the government's junior coalition partner, the bill was passed by a cabinet last year and presented in Parliament where it is pending debate. Socialist opposition to the bill has been led by some guy, I don't speak Spanish, I'm not going to try, a deputy prime minister who has reopened public debate onto it to the displeasure of Pomados, suggesting that it should be stopped or changed. Quote, "We must distinguish between the need for the state to respond to trans people and a queer theory that threatens to destroy all of the progressive laws that have established equality between men and women." All right, number one, how does this guy sound more conservative than our own conservatives, but whatever, like actually calling out queer theory? But number two, actually what are you talking about? Think about that for a minute. As Will Nolan points out in his article I referenced at the start, if you think there are no differences between men and women, that men and women should be treated the same and seen upon as exactly the same, well, in which case you actually can't differentiate between them. You're not meant to. You've criminalized it. In which case you're accepting that men and women can be free of their own biology. They're not constrained by the fact that you are a man or a woman and therefore you're better at some things and worse at others. Instead, you should be free from that biology to do whatever you want. And in which case, why shouldn't you be free from your biology to become a woman? Well, you're not. So then this dude's standing there being like, no, I just want the sensible liberalism. It's like, yeah, you get the rest of it too, brud.
Yeah, well, it depends what he means by the state to respond to trans people. I mean, he could mean with violence. I don't know what he means.
Probably doesn't. He probably just means, cool, just pay your taxes, which seems to be the reasonable way to deal with it.
No, it's impossible. He's saying, like you say, how can you respond to trans people, but also not... Yeah, you just got to reject the whole thing.
Yeah.
This is what we're learning.
Like, you have to accept that men and women are different, and therefore tailor the world to that reality instead of creating a fantasy that we could become free from our own biology. It's just not going to happen. Like, you're a madman. Anyway, just a side note. But a spokeswoman for the far leftists who proposed this hit back. Quote, "It is important to avoid the transphobic speeches that have been seen during these months. Blah, 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 blah." Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, we're in the Anglo world. I don't need to read the rest of that. You know what it says. This is transphobia. Right, okay, progress. The original draft proposed in the Equality Ministry has actually been watered down since it first came out. It would actually eliminate the clause and would permit 16-year-old individuals to make decisions about hormones without any parental guidance, which I think is the law in America. Good job, guys. You're the insane ones, in case you're wondering. Originally, the draft proposed that those aged 12 would be able to change their name and gender, if supported by the parents, but the pro-transgender rights groups in Spain have protested that the bill does not actually go far enough, saying it fails to accommodate people aged 12 and 13 who require court approval for the process, and younger children who are excluded. Younger than 12.
Depressing.
There you have it. There's Lesbian Club for you, which not only doesn't include any lesbians now, thanks to all of this, but the ideology has completely taken over even mainland Europe now. In reality, we have Austria falling and now Spain, which is now in the big swing of the debate we had maybe a few years ago, which is this insane? And thankfully, in the Anglo world, we're moving on, but
Yeah.
For the
Can I
rest
just ask one slight side note there when he says it's important to avoid transphobic speeches? Whenever you hear anything phobic now, do you just instantly think that's nonsense? Do you believe any of the phobics? I was thinking arachnophobic. I probably still believe you're scared of spiders. But
Yeah.
anytime I hear phobic, other than that, I just go, some ideological nonsense that's a lie is about to come at me.
If it's ever about a protected characteristic, 100% just nonsense.
Right.
But if it's about spiders or clowns or something, then I don't know. Send in your fears in the comments. Otherwise, that's Lesbian Club, which no more lesbians, I suppose. If you appreciated that segment from the podcast at the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as Carl's fantastic and wonderful speech, The Word and the Shire, that he gave at the Widden. You'll find out what else he's putting out. You can follow him on Getter, of course, at Carl Benjamin on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.